Hi there, my name's Carrie L, and this is my show, Bringin' Homemade Back. Today we're gonna warm you up in the kitchen with some awesome comfort food. So grab your coziest blankie and snuggle up and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Bringin' Homemade Back. I'm Carrie L, and tonight we are gonna cook up some comfort food. It's official, it's fall. Today was a totally rainy and windy day, so I thought, shepherd's pie. So I'm calling this one shepherd's comfort. And it's so simple. It's a meal all in one pot. And it starts out with something as simple as ground beef. And the ground beef I have is from our local butcher. And it's their own cattle that they raise and butcher right there. So it's literally 5 minutes down the road for me. I've also got, I'm going to do up some carrots, celery, onions and garlic. I've got corn. I love doing this end of the season corn. Sweet corn in the shepherd's pie is absolutely beautiful. And mushrooms. And I always chop these a little bit bigger so people who don't like them can pull them out. So mushrooms. And then we're going to be topping it off with potatoes. These are freshly dug from the garden. Got a nice variety of red, purple, and white. And that's going to be our awesome topping. So to start off, I'm going to brown our beef, and tonight I'm working with 4 pounds, which is more than one meal. So what I'll do with it is put together extra shepherd's pies and throw them in the freezer. That way I've got supper for the nights I don't feel like cooking. So let's just get this started. I'm just going to pop it right in to this hot pot. There we go. You want your pot nice and hot, especially with ground beef, because it needs to cook on a high heat for it to be safe, and you're going to cook it right through. So while that's cooking, I'm going to work on some of my other prep. And so welcome back, just a midway checkpoint. Come on over and check out the meat. I'll just show you where we're at. It is cooking down nicely. So what I want on my meat before I add anything else is a really good brown, because the brown is going to give you all the flavor. If I add in onions and mushrooms at this point, all of the moisture from that is going to cut down the heat and it's just not going to brown as well. So brown it really good first. Our potatoes are bubbling along nicely. So when I do potatoes up for mashed, I cut them smaller. They cook faster, and I like to leave the skins on because I like the I like a little extra color. One thing I left out of this batch was the these guys, these purple potatoes. Look how bright the pigment is on those. Like super purple. So based on that, they'd probably discolor my mashed potato topping, which would be okay, except just depends on what you want to do. So I've got most of my stuff prepped, and just as soon as this has got a nice brown, I'm going to move on to adding in onions, mushrooms, and celery. And of course garlic. So I will see you in a moment when we're ready for the next step. Alright, we have this beef right where we want it. Come have a look. So it's nice and brown. I've turned it down a bit. So check out that browning on the bottom. So it looks pretty brown, so don't be afraid to get it this brown, because once we add the onions and mushrooms, celery and garlic, it's going to totally lift up all that browning and add total flavor to your shepherd's pie. So let's add in our onions. In they go. There we go. Last little bit in there. Onions, celery, and so right now I'm adding just the onions and celery and garlic, and that way they're going to have a chance to get brown as well. And then after that I will add the mushrooms. That way the moisture won't stop the browning process. So let's squish in this garlic, and at this point this is when it starts smelling so good. Woo! Slippery garlic. Get that in there. If you're the type of person who likes chunks of garlic, you can always chop it up on your cutting board. I personally like the garlic press because then it distributes nice and evenly through the whole dish. There we go. And now, let's give that a stir. Ooh, that smells good already. Just that extra addition of ingredients. Alright, so we'll be back in a minute when this has had a chance to cook. My Alright, so while the meat's cooking, these potatoes are ready. I can put a fork through them easily, so we're going to drain them off. Instead of trying to do it with a lid and losing half of my potatoes in the sink, I'm going to use a colander and just dump them straight in. In they go. And shake off the extra liquid. Now, if we were having a roast tonight, we would be saving that potato water to make our gravy. So, there's no roast tonight, so down the drain it goes. So at this point, I'm going to put the potatoes back in the pot, and I'm going to make my mash for the crust on my shepherd's pie. So I love to add butter, cream, some garlic, sometimes some cheese, and maybe even curry sometimes. So I'm going to get going on that and get my ingredients ready. Okay, so mashed potatoes. Let's add in a nice big chunk of butter right in there. Let's add in some, what I like to do is add in some yogurt. Let's add in a nice chunk of yogurt. It's nice and creamy. Got a little bit of a sour flavor, so my mashed potatoes almost end up like a stuffed potato. The only thing we're missing is bacon bits and chives. So there's some sour cream. Let's add a bit of actual cream. So I like my mashed potatoes nice and rich and yummy. And then, just to switch it up a little bit, I found some feta in my fridge. So let's crumble some feta right in there. And that's got a little bit of saltiness and a little bit of a different texture. So when I mash it in, it's just going to be sort of a little interesting flavor to just change it up a little bit from ordinary mashed potatoes. So I'm just going to let that sit there. And our beef mixture, wash my hands for a moment here. Our beef mixture is now ready for mushrooms. Needs a little extra moisture, so these are going to help do that. Actually, I've got some more over here too. I usually add a lot of mushrooms because mushrooms reduce down to practically nothing. So to have an impact, you got to put lots in.
Okay.
Hey there, everything is looking awesome. I've got all of my veggies added in. Some people like to add peas to their shepherd's pie. I'm not a big pea person, so I've got my corn, my carrots, mushrooms, celery, garlic all in there. So it's looking good. Mashed potatoes are doing great. I seasoned them a little bit with a little bit of sea salt, and they're nice and creamy, and they're going to make an awesome topping. So what I'm going to do now is season up this meat, because I haven't added anything extra besides the veggies. And to make a gravy, I realized I have some chicken stock that I made a couple days ago, so I'm going to add this instead of adding water. So I'm going to pop this in. Some nice chicken stock, because it's already got a good flavor base. So add that in for gravy. And then I'm also going to add some sea salt. I've got this nice sea salt, just sprinkle it in. And then I'm going to add a few other ingredients. Let me see. I'm looking for my curry. Ah, yes. I like to add curry to things, so a little bit of curry. Some people might pick up the hint, some people might not. Just adds a nice flavor base, so let's give it a stir up. Oh, yeah, it's looking good. You know what I'm going to add as well, just to see how this turns out, is a little bit of Lee & Perrins, a little Worcestershire sauce. So let me see, Worcestershire, where? So apparently we have no Worcestershire sauce, so I'm going to use some Bragg liquid aminos. And this always adds nice flavor, so I'm going to give it a couple squirts. And Taryn, can you pass me a spoon, please? So whenever you add in any seasoning, it usually takes a couple minutes for it to sort of, thank you, my dear. It takes a few minutes for it to get into the mixture. So when I taste it, I'm going to give it a little taste right now. Give it a taste. It smells good. Oh wow, totally good. It doesn't need any more salt. It's got plenty of that. Maybe And if it is too salty, because I've added that stock and normally I'll use water, I'll just add a little bit of water just to even it out. And I might add just a pinch more curry and a few other things to boost up the flavor. So I'm going to have a look through my spice drawer, and once I figure it out, I will be right back. So I just got an awesome compliment. My daughter says, "These are the best mashed potatoes in the world." So they are good. I've decided to add to this mixture a jar of canned tomatoes. Now my husband's making a face. I don't think he likes that. Should I skip the tomatoes? Okay, yeah. Alright, I'm going to skip the tomatoes. What I am going to add is I have juice left over from salsa that my friend made. We used the ingredients for, what did we use it for? We made something with it. Oh, the chicken parmigiana, yeah. So this is the leftover juice. So it's got some good flavor, so I'm just going to add that in. So there's like 2 tomatoes, so I think that'll be okay. Yeah. So, a little more flavor. I've added a bit more curry. And it's almost ready to dish up into the pan with our mashed potato topping. I've got my oven preheated at 350. And once we have it in the pan, all we have to do is bring it to a bubble with the potatoes getting brown. So it's because it's already hot. Alright, so I am happy with the flavor now. I've tasted it a couple times. Everybody else is happy that I didn't add a whole jar of tomatoes. So you might want to add that to yours. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. So let's dish up this meat. Get some of the good juice in there, some of the good gravy. And this one pan is enough for our family for one dinner. So I'm thinking by what's left in the pot, I've probably got enough in here for 3 meals. How awesome for me, because that totally leverages my time. And you know, one night if I don't feel like cooking, I can pull one of these out of the freezer. So next, let's put on our mashed potato topping. Just pop it right on top. Catching a bit of the... And so simple, yet absolutely delicious. And it's also great for warm-ups the next day if you want to reheat it. So there it is. And let's just stick it straight in the oven. There we go. Give it about, say, 10 minutes tops to get a nice brown crust. And it's supper time. Right, here we have the finished product. Beautiful shepherd's pie, or in this case, comfort pie. Let's have a look. So it's nice and lightly brown on the top. All the juices come up and around the potatoes. And it's a little bit yellow from the curry I put in. Let's dig into it. Ooh-wee. Oh, that's beautiful. Nice. So there you have it. It is a meal in one dish. And I'm excited to eat it. So we're going to call everyone for dinner. Hope you have a good night, and thanks for watching Bringin' Homemade back. Well, the shepherd's pie was a hit. Everybody licked their plates clean. Thanks for tuning in to Bringin' Homemade back, and we'll see you real soon.